right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Small businesses blown away.
One person, it's hearsay, said that the pilot said he didn't see him. I don't know how he wouldn't.
What it takes to recover after helicopter blades scatter these business owners' belongings to the wind.
Well, we'll start off the week with more heat as the heat builds back in after a one-day break. A heat advisory in a lot of places out west. When it's headed our way and when we'll finally see a break from this heat.
But first, a deadly shooting in the heart of downtown. We're hearing from St. Louis police after violence erupts in a popular hangout spot. Good evening, I'm Mark Maxwell. Mike Bush has the night off. Tonight, one person is dead and 5 others recovering from a downtown shooting overnight. One of those victims, an 18-year-old man in critical condition. That brazen act unfolding on 10th and Market Street in a heavily trafficked area, just 1 block from a federal courthouse, 2 blocks from City Hall, and within eyesight of the criminal courthouse where a shooter would one day have to face a judge. 5 on Your Side's Mercedes McKay spoke with police about that ongoing issue of gun violence downtown.
We have found time and time again that people who do not live in the city of St. Louis treat downtown as their own hangout area. And it's not acceptable. We're not going to tolerate it.
That's the message from the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department after a shooting downtown left 1 man dead and 5 others injured early Sunday morning.
At this point, we think that most of the victims, or all of the victims, are going to be around 20, early 20s.
Police were called to the scene at 10th Street near Market around 2:30 a.m.
We believe at this point that there was a fight that broke out amongst a group of girls that then escalated with guys getting involved, and then someone pulled a gun.
Mitch McCoy with SLMPD tells 5 on Your Side 1 firearm was discovered at the scene, but it's too early on to know if it was used in the shooting.
There is a conflict resolution issue in this city and in many major cities across the area, across the country, and we have to figure out how we can resolve problems without guns.
Nearly 10 hours after the shooting, you can see that tire marks still remained on the ground here at 10th and Market in downtown St. Louis from when the rest of the group sped away. Police tell me just 2 hours before they were called to the shooting here, they asked another group to leave City Garden.
We keep saying time and time again about the extra law enforcement presence. They were here, they cleared a large group of people out, but yet somehow within a few hours, another group came in and used this park as a hangout area, and violence erupted.
And for those participating in the crimes, McCoy warns you will be caught.
People who commit violence in the city of St. Louis are going to be held accountable.
Mercedes McKay, 5 on Your Side.
One person was arrested for assaulting an officer. Police are now asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. 5 on Your Side data shows 81 homicides now this year in St. Louis. Startling moments inside a Creve Coeur movie theater when a kid pulled out a fake gun. Police say a kid was wearing a mask when he stood up from his seat inside that crowded theater and started shooting toy bead pellets at members of the audience. It happened around 5:30 yesterday. The kid ran away at first, but police tracked him down a few blocks away. No one in the theater was seriously hurt. If you know anything about what happened or saw it, call Creve Coeur Police and let them know. Today, the Archdiocese of St. Louis released a report outlining the Catholic Church's historical involvement in the practice of slavery. That report listed 99 enslaved people and tried to trace their stories using historical data from the archives at the Archdiocese's facility. 44 of those 99 people were enslaved by diocesan bishops and clergy. According to the Archdiocese, these numbers are not yet final. There are more people who have yet to be identified or uncovered. And up in the 90s today for the Cardinals' home game against the Giants. St. Louis on a bit of a heater themselves, winning their 3rd straight. Frank Kuzmano will have more on that during Sports Plus. But right now, meteorologist Gary Frank has more on just how hot it'll be at tomorrow's home game. Gary?
Yeah, even hotter. You know, that's what we're dealing with here, and it's we're kind of stepping into July and August pretty consistently throughout the month of June, maybe a little sooner, and it's still consistently hot, but we're more optimistic about rain for the next week ahead. Humidity will actually settle down, so I at least have a couple of days for that. It's not tomorrow, though. There's actually no rain. We're still, as we look at that high-pressure center that kind of settles in, has created a pretty active desert southwest in areas around the monsoon. That's their pattern that's setting setting up as well. Maybe even a touch early there, but temps right now still in the mid 80s. Downtown, it's 84. It's calm. It's 64 as our dew point. That's a little on the humid side, but it's pretty normal, so it's making it feel like 85. Nothing too significant. Now, over the next few days, I don't think that the weather's going to impact your plans much Monday at all. It's just going to be hot. But Tuesday and Wednesday, we actually throw some rain chances in, and that's going to be impactful for us here as well. It feels like it's in the mid 80s, though, even at this hour. And with that humidity, we'll get maybe drop down into the upper 60s in some spots overnight. It's clear. In fact, there's not a cloud in the sky. That's going to allow us to warm up Monday and Tuesday in some areas under a heat advisory. What that means for you and when we may be under a heat advisory before things change.
Summer is in full swing, and those hot temperatures will persist this week. No matter if you're inside or outside, it's always important to be mindful of that dangerous heat. 5 on your side's Travis Cummings spoke to people working to keep you safe this summer.
In the city or county, or even in St. Charles or in Illinois, the old brick homes bake like ovens.
With that old charm comes responsibility.
And we want to make sure that they got air in them. If they've got air in them and utilities, they're fine. Otherwise, they're death nails.
Gentry Trotter with Cool Down St. Louis is working to combat the issues that residents are facing in these scorching temperatures this summer. His organization is helping out with utility bills and providing free air conditioning units to the elderly and disabled. But he says you can do prevention work yourself.
Before you even think so, make sure you check on your filter.
When things get out of your control like this leak, you have to call a technician like Toby Burke with Academy Air.
He's had a few other guys out here and has told us that it's losing refrigerant, meaning somewhere in the cycle it's losing the refrigerant. And as we can see, the evaporator coil is frozen. I got the fan running right now to thaw it out.
If you stumble upon a frozen joint like this one and you're looking for the leak exactly, you can use something like this micro gas leak detector to find the source.
A part of the process outside the house, hosing things down to give them a clean.
One of the most useful things that you can do for your air conditioner in the heat like this is to wash it out. That helps. Also, changing those filters every 1 to 3 months is great for these units.
Most of all with this heat, be mindful of you and others' health.
Make sure they're cool. Touch them. So if they're cool, you're fine. Make sure the air conditioner works.
Travis Cummings, 5 on your side.
And if you need help with your air conditioner or utility bills, you can call Cool Down St. Louis. If you're showing symptoms of heat stroke, like a body temperature higher than 103, loss of consciousness, call 911. And if you need to find a cooling center near you, just text the word heat to 314-425-5355. We'll send you a map. Several small business owners in St. Francis County are devastated after an accident at the fair over the weekend. A helicopter landed in the wrong area, destroying their products and tents. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski sat down with several of those small business owners, still picking up the pieces.
Cindy Bayless and Jessica Harris own the craft shop Cindy's Corner, and while the store in downtown Farmington is home base, they make a lot of their money at craft fairs and shows during the summer. They paid $320 to set up at the St. Francis County Fair, and before day 2 on Saturday even got started, their hard work was ruined.
We were told there was supposed to be a helicopter show, I guess for kids or whatever, and for some reason the helicopter landed in the field right next to everybody. All the tents.
The family and owner of another small jewelry business, Sadie's Vision, were actually there when the tents and products were picked up and tossed around as the helicopter landed.
We couldn't hold on to them, ended up getting hurt in a couple different places.
15-year-old Sadie Cazares says it was so scary.
So it went from completely nice to just completely destroyed, and I just ended up bawling because I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Not only was it Sadie's first craft fair, it is also hard on her as she's had 13 eye surgeries making small jewelry projects intense.
I'm not saying that she gets paid for her time, but this is something that was heartbreaking. Even as her parent, it was just heartbreaking to watch her hard work be just thrown about like that.
The rotor wash also flung beads from Cindy's tent all over the fairground field.
I'm just grateful that there was people there who was nice enough to help and pick up stuff and try to keep things cleaned up.
They unfortunately lost products. Tents were destroyed and barely made enough money to cover their participation fee.
I just hope they find out and figure out who did the wrong and some accountability and replace people's items.
Reporting in Farmington, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
We did reach out to that helicopter company seeking a statement. The fair is expected to respond over the next few days. If you'd like to help out Sadie's vision, we have a link to her products up on our Facebook page, and there's information on KSDK.com as well.
Coming up, for them, making a movie is a family effort.
I've either engendered their love for filmmaking or crushed it by being involved in this project.
A look at filmmaking underway now in St. Charles. There's no gas tank in these models, so where do you fuel up? Tonight, we answer your questions about electric vehicles.
As we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll finally get a good chance for rain, and there's a severe weather threat to the north. Why we're on the southern edge of this and what that means for our storm chances on Tuesday.
Could Missouri become the Hollywood of the Midwest? One local family of filmmakers hopes so. The Lawing family has been bringing lights, cameras, and action to St. Charles for 14 years now. Tonight, Annie Krall sits down with the founders of Mercury Films on the set of their newest project, an 80s coming-of-age story underway now.
Writer and director Chris Lawing calls the Hill home, meeting his wife Angie, a Sunset Hills native, in a video production class at the University of Kansas in the 90s.
He was my best friend before, he was my husband. We share a love of storytelling.
After thousands of projects together, they're now using Lindenwood University and St. Charles High School as backdrops for their latest film, Greg's Going to Rehab.
It's not going to be the first or last large production that's happened in St. Louis, but we don't get as many at-bats.
On set with their 3 children.
It's great to see Len, my oldest. She's an associate producer and the first AD. It's great to see her run the show. Yeah, and not necessarily when she gets mad at Dad for being disorganized, but it's great for my youngest, who's going to KU to study film, to work in the grip and electric department and learn from seasoned professionals before he goes to college.
Also attracting actors like Jack Falahy from How to Get Away with Murder.
It's really relying on the community of St. Louis. I mean, there's so many people that are students at the college that we're filming at, or locals that it's, their first or second or third film project. And I think that bleeds into production. I mean, this at its core is a coming of age story that follows a group of young people that are overcoming addiction and adversity.
Lawing says making an independent film is a Herculean effort, but it helps to have a daughter you trust.
Where we need to be and what scenes we need to get through, and are we on schedule, are we off schedule? It's usually off schedule, but stuff like that, and I'm type A, so I feel like that kind of stuff is like what I like to do and what I'm good at.
It's good to learn about someone you care about so much, so that'll be pretty cool to watch after all the post-production stuff.
It's funny, I joke, would Chris and I be friends if we met in the 80s? Because I was preppy, I ran 14 clubs. We were in such different worlds. I loved Whitney Houston and the Karate Kid, and he's banging around to Metallica.
Now I look up and I'm in my mid-50s and we're about ready to be empty nesters, and it's like, wow, what a ride.
Reporting in St. Charles, Annie Krall, 5 on your side.
That film will be in production through next Monday. Lawing tells us their goal is to have a finished product ready to go to film festivals by the end of the year, perhaps early 2025. Just a few hours ago, we got word that a local Olympic hopeful qualified for the 2024 Games. St. Charles native Deanna Price competed this afternoon in the hammer throw, earning 2nd place. This will be her 3rd Olympics appearance. Price says the night's been emotional for her, and while she's excited to be going to Paris in just a few weeks, her mind was on her new home.
Our world's not perfect, our country's not perfect, but it's ours. And there's nothing better when you sit there and you hear the national anthem and you see the red, white, and blue flying. It's just one of those pure moments that that you're home. And I can't wait to go home, back to, Lincoln County, and just see my people.
You can catch her sailing down the Seine during the opening ceremonies right here on 5 on Your Side. The games kick off July 26. All right, let's check in now with Gary Frank to see what that weather is looking like later on this week. Hey, Gary.
Yeah, it feels like July 26th, I think, out there over the last few weeks, as it's been pretty warm to start off. We were in the mid-90s. Our average high is about 87, so we were above that. But you can see off to the southwest, temps around 97. That warmer air is going to start to settle in. But still, after that front moved through, it was cooler than yesterday. So that's really all that we can ask for. So it's still, as we continue to creep up, we'll update you this probably every day this week. To finish off the month of June. It's now the 9th warmest June on record with a 79.6 degree average temperature, and we've gone up 0.2 degrees in our average temperature for the year, which obviously includes now 6 months. That's a lot harder to get that number up, and it went 0.2 degrees, or 0.2 degrees over the last 24 hours. So it's going up here, and 2012 is ahead of it, and that's not all that hard to remember. It was hot then. The rain that moved through in the cold front, well, we call it a cold front, but it was a very weak one. It moved through and provided some decent rain for central Illinois, but not much. And then it's cleared out. There was hardly a cloud in the sky the rest of the day. We'll see that trend continue. Clear skies, low to mid 70s in the city, not maybe as warm as it's been the last couple of mornings, mid to upper 60s outside of the city. So as we look at this high, that's going to be responsible for kind of retreating just a little bit. You'll notice where we start to see those deeper orange shades settle in as that high builds, but that's for Monday and Tuesday, and we'll just stop it there because those are our two hottest days. That's why we have a heat advisory from 12 to 8. And this only includes Phelps County and our area right now, but that's where the heat is coming from. That's why we're probably going to see that. And so why is there a heat advisory when you go from, okay, we're in the mid-90s, it's not a huge deal, you don't need to tell me it's hot. Understood, but the key for us is we start to add the humidity, and when it starts to get more thick, we get those dew points over 70. That's when it's hard for our body to cool down, and when it gets hot like that as well, I think Tuesday you're going to see that. It's going to feel like it's about 105. That's pretty significant. Then, when the heat breaks, which is this severe weather outlook for Tuesday, this is a slight risk to the north, and then it weakens as it gets to the south, basically due to the timing. But there's some uncertainty with round one. How do the storms develop upstream and fall apart? I think they may impact us at times on Tuesday, but there's a lot of dry time, and some of this may not look exactly like this. But I think there is a main front that gives us actual rain, which is exciting Tuesday into early Wednesday. Maybe a little bit of wind as well. We'll watch out for that, but I think I'm optimistic that we're going to see a half an inch at least, maybe some locally heavier totals. We'll keep you posted on that because I don't think those numbers are all going to materialize, but we are going to get to 100, I think, by tomorrow or maybe on Tuesday as well. Early morning storms, then less humid Thursday. We hold steady. We're even a little below average, and then it gets hot again for the 4th of July.
Paul Cook here, your traffic guy from Today in St. Louis. I decided to go on the move in an electric vehicle for the first time. And I have to admit, I've been a bit of an EV skeptic. I don't want to worry about charging. Some people refer to it as range anxiety.
Welcome to an electric vehicle.
Like, where do I find a place to charge my car? If I take a trip, will there be charging stations where I'm going? And how much will it cost? Well, Amron's got it all figured out. Okay, so go right in.
Got it.
That is so easy.
We often get the comment, I can't buy an EV because there isn't enough charging. But the fact of the matter is 80% of charging happens conveniently at home. Your car's ready for you in the morning. But there are about 2,000 places in the St. Louis area that you can charge if you needed to.
Becky Whitman with Ameren showed me how you can actually use a normal electric outlet to charge these days. But that is an overnight thing. How about the cost?
When we think about charging on the go, we're thinking about fast charging. And it ranges from station to station, but about $15 to $16 per charge is probably what you can expect.
And finally, a big question, how long would it take to juice up my car?
So the stations are getting more and more powerful. So they probably anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to get about 80% full on a charger.
In Illinois, just over 96,000 people drive electric vehicles. In Missouri, it's much lower, about 25,000. For answers to all of your EV questions, go to ameren.com/EV. And of course, reach out to me too, Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
A beloved Alton restaurant reopens this weekend. The new things to expect from that new owner. It was a weekend to remember along the banks of the Mississippi. Today, the F1 Powerboat Racing Midwest Championship wrapped up in Alton. This was the first time the powerboat race came back to Alton in more than 3 decades. Some of these boats can go faster than 120 miles an hour. Organizers expected that event to bring in more than $2.5 million to the riverside town. What did fans have to say?
I'd say anything that draws a crowd and tourism and hotels, restaurants, anything along those lines. Can't hurt.
The first racers started their engines around 9 this morning. A champion was crowned at 4 o'clock. And just down the street from those festivities, an old favorite reopened its doors. My Just Desserts, known for its pies and sandwiches, now back in business after shutting down for a bit in March. The restaurant has been an Alton staple since the 1980s. It's passed through many hands over the years. After the recent passing of her sister, Evelyn Campbell took over as owner until she said she just couldn't do it anymore. So she sold the store to Marcus Boyd last month. Well, he says the beloved lunch stop will mostly stay the same.
We will do some additional expansion to the building. Hopefully, we're going to try to help it reach its maximum blueprint or footprint. In addition to that, just different creative changes as far as more high-quality products and more excellent service.
Boyd also says some new sandwiches will hit the menu soon. Plus, for the first time, they'll have barbecue. My Just Desserts is open from 11 to 3 every Wednesday through Sunday. A member of the Five on Your Side team was honored today. We'll tell you next the award given to our Brent Solomon. Here's a proud moment for Five on Your Side. Our very own Brent Solomon was honored today by the top ladies of distinction. The East St. Louis chapter of the national organization honored him as a man of distinction at their annual gala. Tonight's theme was celebrating leadership and achievements. Of course, we send our congratulations to Brent. Very well deserved. All right, that does it for us. That does it all for Five on Your Side at 10. You can kick off your morning with Today in St. Louis starting at 4 a.m. Now here's Frank Cusimano with Sports Plus.